Who killed Jesus, do you think? Then Pilate had Jesus flogged with a lead-tipped whip. The soldiers wove a crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they put a purple robe on him. "Hail, King of the Jews!" they mocked as they slapped him across the face. Pilate went outside again and said to the people, "I'm going to bring him out to you now, but understand clearly that I find him not guilty." Then Jesus came out, wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. And Pilate said, "Look, here is the man." When they saw him, the leading priests and temple guards began shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" "Take him yourselves and crucify him," Pilate said. "I find him not guilty." The Jewish leaders replied, "By our law, he ought to die because he called himself the Son of God." When Pilate heard this, he was more frightened than ever. He took Jesus back into the headquarters again and asked him, "Where are you from?" But Jesus gave no answer. "Why don't you talk to me?" Pilate demanded. "Don't you realize that I have the power to release you or crucify you?" Then Jesus said, "You would have no power over me at all unless it were given to you from above. So the one who handed me over to you has the greater sin." Then Pilate tried to release him, but the Jewish leaders shouted, "If you release this man, you are no friend of Caesar. Anyone who declares himself a king is a rebel against Caesar." When they said this, Pilate brought Jesus out to them again. Then Pilate sat down on the judgment seat, on the platform that is called the stone pavement, in Hebrew, Gabbatha. It was now about noon on the day of preparation for the Passover. And Pilate said to the people, "Look, here is your king." "Away with him," they yelled. "Away with him! Crucify him!" "What? Crucify your king?" Pilate asked. "We have no king but Caesar," the leading priests shouted back. Then Pilate turned Jesus over to them to be crucified. Save me, O God, for the waters have come up to my neck. I sink in deep mire where there is no foothold. I have come into deep waters and the flood sweeps over me. I am weary with my crying. My throat is parched. My eyes grow dim with waiting for my God. More in number than the hairs of my head are those who hate me without cause. Many are those who would destroy me, my enemies who accuse me falsely.
Truth. You'll forgive me if I don't join in the merriment. It's never as simple as you think. Very rarely black or white. Not as clear as you imagine, usually shades of grey that run into each other and collide. But truth itself, it is uncommon. Elusive, like trying to catch the wind. That was this Jesus' mistake. He saw it clearly, or he thought he did. So take off your blinker, stop pointing your fingers at me, and consider one of the few bits of black and whiteness in this whole sorry episode. I tried to release him. I didn't want him killed. But it was what I had to do to keep the peace. The crowds had turned on him. There was No other choice. I actually quite liked the man. He had a certain steely coolness, not aloof, but assured. It was comfortable. And everyone commented on it. My own wife told me to have nothing to do with the man, to let him go. And as I said, that's what I wanted to do. But events got out of hand. The crowd got ugly. Everyone was screaming, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" This man they called their king. This man they'd been so pleased to see. "Do away with him!" they shouted. "Do your duty to Rome! He threatens your authority! Kill him!" Even his own religious leaders were frightened of him. I could see that. But they were also frightened of what the crown would say if they dealt with him themselves, which they could have done. He wouldn't be the first person they had stoned. But they wanted us to solve the problem. They wanted their own hands clean. What a joke. Can't believe I'm telling you this, because I wanted my hands clean too. You see, this man, he disturbed me. I gave him so many chances to evade the bait, but it was almost as if he was determined to die. As if he wanted the nails to pierce him. After a while, he barely even spoke to me, ignored my questions, spoke about a kingdom that was beyond the rule of Rome. And then he shut up. Condemned himself with this little strutting, flouting defiance. Because there is no kingdom. He had no power. His followers had left him, and the crowd were baying for blood. In the end, I was the only one trying to save him. "Don't you understand that?" I said it to him plainly. "Don't you know that I have the power to release you and the power to crush you?" And he said, you have to admire the impudence of the man. "You would have no power unless it was given you from above." Though, as I say, it's not really impudence. Certainly more than defiance. It was a sort of madness. Only what disturbed me most about this man was he was not mad. It was as if he had an inner something that sustained him and propelled him, made him stand up to me and stand up to Rome, stand up to his own leaders. So much so that this was as though he was embracing the cross that we gave him, holding it, as if he was not just doing it for himself. That's why I wanted to release him. This Barabbas that the crowd were suddenly so keen to save was a monster, a murderer, a menace, but he lives, and this Jesus, the King of the Jews, he dies. A plain sinner saved, a good man, a son of God, killed. What sense does that make? But I am not going to be blamed for this. I spoke plainly. I find no case against him. I let the crowds decide. I even called for a basin of water so that I could wash my hands in front of them. "I am innocent of this man's blood," I said, and walked away. What else could I have done? There would have been a riot. So if you want a culprit, a scapegoat, if you want someone to say, "Look, it was me. I hammered the nails into his hand. I am guilty. I killed him," then don't look at me. My hands are clean. Look at his own leaders. Look at the ones who handed him to me. They have the greater blame. They have the nails in their hands. Speak to Annas. Speak to the high priest, Caiaphas. He hated Jesus. It was his power that was threatened, not mine. Jesus was never going to topple Rome. But he might have shaken the ridiculous charade of their own religious posturing. But I am innocent of this man's blood. Don't you understand? Innocent. Now leave me be.
sacred head surrounded by crown of piercing thorn. O bleeding head so wounded, reviled and put to scorn, death's pallid hue console thee, the glow of life decays. Yet angel hosts adore thee, and tremble as they gaze. I see thy strength and vigor, all fading in the strife, and death with cruel rigor, bereaving thee of life. O agony and dying, O love to sinners free, Jesus all grace supplying, O turn thy face on me. In this thy bitter passion, Good Shepherd, think of me. With thy most sweet compassion, unworthy though I be, beneath thy cross abiding, forever would I rest. In thy dear love confiding, and with thy presence blessed.
Lord, when I take pride in my own cleanliness and absent myself from consequences, when I sleep easy in my bed, disturb me. Show me where the hammer meets the mark. Wipe away conceit's veneer with the tears of the countless sorrowful, with the howling grief of despairing dispossessed, with all the chickens home to roost and the mother hen destroyed. Show it to me clearly, in the cold light of what it has become because of me. Then open my heart to the wisdom of God and cleanse me from the inside out.